Hello, seniors, and welcome to the Delaware Valley Counselors College presentation. First, we want to start off by saying it's okay to not know 100% what you want to do after high school. That can be very normal, but it is important to come up with some kind of plan to follow. We realize that plan may change over time, it may shift. Again, that's normal. But we do encourage you to come up with some kind of plan and connect with your counselor to discuss what you want life after high school to look like. That can include a few different things, such as joining the military, going straight into the workforce, going to a trade school, or going to a college, whether that's a community college for 2 years or a 4-year college or university. For the purposes of this presentation, when we do say college, we mean any type of schooling after high school, including what we just mentioned above. We encourage you to take notes while you watch this presentation. Jot down any questions that you may have or anything that seems unclear. We will come around to your classrooms to answer those general questions, but also feel free to email your counselor with any personal, individualized questions that you might have. So to start off, we'd like to point out some excellent resources that we have and some jumping off points. When you guys are saying, we don't know where to start, we're going to show you right now. A lot of these can be found, well, all of them really can be found on our guidance website. Just in case you've never been there, we're going to show you how to get there. dvsd.org, our district's website. Start there, go to district schools, Delaware Valley High School, of course, and scroll down to the bottom where it says Site Shortcuts. Down here, this little menu, you want to go over to Guidance Department. And ta-da, you're here. This is our webpage. Many of you may not have even known we had a webpage, but please feel free to check this out on a regular basis. This is our Twitter handle. We would love for you to follow us. We promise we will not follow you back. We do not want to do that. Just our way to get information out to you and your parents. But this is our webpage, okay? So there's a lot of different resources that we have. Any important announcements we put right up on this page. But there's some tabs over on the left that we're going to want to focus on today. The first one being college information. This is information for both juniors and seniors in terms of things that you need to know when it comes to this whole overwhelming process. There are links down here for juniors in terms of timeline, what our parent night presentation was from last year, but then seniors. Okay. So first, you might want to check out the senior timeline. I won't open that for you now. You can certainly do that on your own time, but it does break down for you month by month what you should be doing. That's probably one of the most popular questions we get is, what should I be doing right now? Well, this senior timeline tells you exactly that. So please feel free to check that out. Also really helpful, the College Application Handbook. This is just a quick summary of the cheat sheet. The handbook is a very detailed document regarding everything you need to do. It really walks you through this entire process. Tells you what you need to do to apply, common app specifics, and basic things that you would need to know for your college applications. Just as a side note, please keep in mind, not every college is Common App, okay? Some colleges want you to apply directly through their website. So check that out before you assume you're using Common App. Please read over this College Application Handbook. Print it out if you need to. We also have copies, hard copies, and guidance if you'd like a copy as you begin this process. I feel that a lot of your questions are probably going to be answered in this handbook. And again, it's really going to just walk you through all the nitty-gritties of what you need to know. So make sure you check that out at the beginning of this process. Like I said before, it is overwhelming, and that's okay. That's normal. There's a lot of information, but having something like this can really kind of help you figure it out and get through each piece one at a time. Now, if you're a senior right now applying to college and you haven't taken the SATs yet, that's something you really want to consider. We realize that this year many schools are going test optional, and that's fine. However, you may want to consider having at least one SAT score under your belt to keep your options open, because we never know what's going to unfold in the next few months. So something to consider. To register for the SATs, you're going to go to the College Board website. And again, you may have taken them once already, but you want to take them again a second time, sometimes even a third. You go right to collegeboard.org and sign in. You may need to create a College Board account. create a College Board account if you haven't done so already. Or if you already have one, sign in. If you forget your login information, do not create a brand new account if you already have one. This is confusing for the College Board, and then they attribute your scores to multiple people instead of just one. So please make sure if you know you created one already, you signed up for the SATs or the APs, and you cannot for the life of you remember what your login information is, contact them directly. Do not create a new account. I can't say that enough. Keep in mind, when it comes to the SATs, there's going to be deadlines, okay? So that's something you really need to follow. You really need to see, okay, I want to take the October SAT, what is the deadline? I want to take the November, what is the deadline? So that's something you're going to find out here. They try to keep the most updated information right along here in this bar right here. Extended registration deadline for October SAT. I want to point that out. With every SAT test, the registration deadline is set, but there's also a late registration deadline. It costs money to take the SAT. It's around $52, $53 for just a regular old SAT. If you miss the deadline and you choose to do late registration because you really need to get that session of the SAT in, you're going to pay some extra money. Chat over this with your counselor if you're not sure if it's what you want to do. Sometimes it's worth it to pay that extra money to get that test score. Sometimes it's not. So if you're really not sure what to do, please feel free, like I said, to run it by your counselor, and we can kind of point you in the right direction. Another important thing to point out is that if you do qualify for free or reduced lunch, you are eligible for an SAT fee waiver. Please see your counselor about that as well. You are eligible for up to 2 test waivers. So that's 2 sessions of the SATs you can take without having to pay for it, which really, these things add up. So please talk to your counselor if you think this is something you qualify for. In addition to those 2 free tests, you are also able to then qualify for 4 free college applications. Again, that's another thing that adds up and costs money, is just applying to college before you even get in. So if you're able to get a waiver for 4 schools, you definitely want to talk to your counselor about how you can do that. Also, as a side note, not relating to the SATs, but there are a lot of schools out there that if you do go visit or you participate in their virtual open house, they will waive your application fee. So keep your eyes open for that with the schools that you're applying to. But anyway, back to the SATs. Keep in mind, you can send scores straight to colleges. So if you know schools that you're applying to, you can send them up to 4 colleges when you're registering and up to 9 days after you take that test. So say you go take the test, you're like, wow, I think I really actually did pretty good on that test. I'm going to have my scores sent straight to wherever I'm applying. You can do that for up to 9 days after you take that test, and it's free. However, after that, it does cost money just to send your SAT scores to colleges. You might be spending a lot of money this senior year, just to let you know. It doesn't cost a whole lot. I think it's about $11 or $12 per school, but again, everything adds up. Remember, we do not include your SAT scores on your transcript, so the only way for you to send them is through the College Board. We do not have the power to do that, but it is good because it gives you control. You get to choose which schools, see which scores, et cetera, et cetera. So that's why we do that. And again, with the waiver for the SATs, we can get those scores sent for you and not worrying about the cost so much. So can't say it enough. Talk to your counselor about that if you think that might be you. We keep it very confidential. So that's our spiel on the SATs. Back to the guidance website. Something very important to note. This is up to you guys. Keep track of your deadlines. Check on each school's admissions website and prioritize what needs to be done first, whether that's you making an old school paper and pen list or using a Google Doc. Whatever works for you, that's fine. But try to keep yourself organized because that's going to help it be a little less overwhelming. So remember, it's up to you. We're not going to keep track of your deadlines for you. That's for you to keep track of. Make a list of the schools, the application deadline, which you can find very easily on their admissions website, as well as financial aid deadlines. We'll get into that a little bit later. But again, remember, keep track of that for yourself, but also in communicating with us, your counselors, and what we need to do to help you. We don't know how to help you if you're not communicating that with us. So please make sure that you're doing so. when talking about college applications, and again, this is something that's outlined in that application handbook, there are a few different types of applications. There is early decision. That is binding. It is a legal document. That's you saying to one school and one school only, if you accept me, no matter how much you cost, it doesn't matter. I am 100% going to you. I'm withdrawing all my other applications to every other school. I am committing solely to you. It's pretty serious. Again, it's a legally binding document. Your parents need to sign something, counselor needs to sign something. That way everybody is on the same page when we submit your materials to that school. Again, I can't say it enough. Talk to your counselor if you're on the fence. You think you might be applying to a school, early decision, but you're not 100% sure. You want to shoot some ideas around. Just be cautious. We're not saying you can't do it, but just know what it involves. That's early decision. There's also early action, which is great because you are able to apply early, but it's not binding. Admissions counselors have told us, especially with more competitive schools, if you're not sure you're going to get in, apply early. So if early action is available, that's what you want to do. Think about it. It makes sense logically. There's more spots to fill at that point. So they're not going to be, hopefully, as tough on you as they would be in the regular admissions decision. So early action is great. If a school offers it, we highly recommend that you apply early action. And it's also just great to get all your applications done and not have to worry about them for the rest of the senior year. Then you can just sit back and wait and make your decision when the time comes. Early action deadlines vary by the school. Again, keep track of your deadlines. Some of them are as early as November 1st. Some might be November 15th. Some might be December 1st. Also keep in mind for some schools, with specific programs, especially the more competitive programs like nursing or engineering, they might have early deadlines as well. So make sure when you go to the admissions website and you're checking all that out, read the fine print because you want to know exactly what you need to do. There's also rolling admissions, which is pretty neat because that basically means the sooner you apply, the sooner you find out. So it's like early action. However, there's not a deadline necessarily. So it gives you a little bit more wiggle room, a little bit more freedom. So those are typically the types of admissions you're going to see. Make sure you're keeping some kind of application checklist. A lot of these admissions websites offer one for you. But again, like we said before, it can't hurt for you to keep your own checklist of what you need, what each school needs, how much of something it needs, et cetera, et cetera. Keep in mind, not all of your materials have to be submitted at the same exact time, but they do want to be submitted pretty close together. For example, you don't want to request a transcript now, but not submit your application for another few weeks because the school is going to get the transcript and be like, who the heck is this? We don't have an application on them. So just make sure you're kind of trying to plan things to be fairly close together. Transcripts, we mentioned something that we've been getting a lot of questions on lately. So we're going to tell you how to request transcripts. Keep in mind, when it comes to transcripts, when it comes to applying to schools, you are more than welcome to have your own copy of your transcript just to have, to look over, to see what it looks like. Some schools like Penn State require self-reporting. So you can basically tell them what's on your transcript. They don't require an official transcript until you're enrolling at the end of your senior year. But most schools request an official transcript. Official means that it has to come directly from Delaware Valley so that there's no chance of it being altered by the student. So official transcripts can be obtained either in guidance if you need a hard copy or through Naviance. And we're going to show you how to do Naviance because we also get a lot of questions about that. So over here on the guidance website, Naviance Family Connections, just click right on that. To sign in, you're going to click directly on this icon here that says Naviance. Your user ID is your student ID number, and for your password, you are going to need to see your counselor. Like I said before, whether it's stopping into guidance or shooting us an email, it's kind of a weird random combination of letters and numbers. It's a temporary password we can get to you once you sign on. You can change that to something a little bit more memorable for you. But that's how you're going to get into Naviance. Again, this just kind of goes over, I won't read it all for you word for word right now, but this just kind of goes over the things that we need you to do in Naviance, the main players in Naviance, so to speak, okay? But you're going to click right on this icon. It's going to have you enter that ID number, temporary password. It's going to have you set your new password, and it's going to take you right to your home screen. So this is what you're going to see when you log into Naviance. I'm going to take you through some of the most important things that we need you to do in Naviance. First thing is the senior brag packet. You may not know what that is. Senior brag packet is something basically, whenever you ask a teacher or a counselor to write you a letter of recommendation, one of the first things they're probably going to say to you is, sure, did you do the senior brag packet? Keep in mind, when you ask someone to write you a letter of recommendation, it's our professional responsibility to write you a good letter. We are not going to write bad things about you in your recommendation letter. We promise. It's our responsibility. If we feel that we can't write you a good letter, we have to say no to you. So please trust the people that you're asking to write you letters. We want to glow about you. We want the best for you. We want you to get into the schools that you want to get into. We're going to write you some good letters. We could probably write you something good based on what we do know about you already, but we'd like to know a little bit more about you. Help us help you. So you're going to go over to About Me, My Surveys. You're going to click on Surveys Not Started, because chances are none of you have actually started this session yet. Sorry about that, little technical difficulty, but this is where that Surveys Not Started is going to take you to. And it will be listed right there, but because I've already started working on it, I'm going to go right here, Brag Packet. This is just another way for us to get to know you. So talk to us about your plans, what you're thinking so far, maybe some things that we might not know about you yet. Yeah, we know some things about you from our experience in school, but we also might not know what you do outside of school. So tell us a little bit about that. Let us know what hobbies or interests you have. Number 8, don't overthink it. Not all of you are going to use this. This is really just for if there's something that's gone on that has really impacted your grades that your teachers or counselors might not know about, but you think we need to know about to understand you better, this is your space to let us know. Again, you don't have to. And if you feel weird writing it out, you could just talk to us in person too. That's fine. But this just gives you an opportunity to let us know some of those things that we might not be aware of. But again, many of you are not going to use this, so don't even worry about it. 9 and 10 are two of our favorites. It's our way of trying to see, how do you see yourself? What are some things that we might not know about you? What do you think your greatest strengths and weaknesses are? How would you describe yourself as a person? And again, that just gives us more insight into you as a person, and thus helps us write you a better recommendation letter. 11, again, don't sweat it, don't overthink it. It's just if there's anything else you would like us to know or specifically like us to include in your letter. So that's your senior brag packet. Please make sure you hit update. If you work on this, I think it's for more than a half hour or so. It says it up here. And you don't save 1 hour. If you don't hit submit, you're going to lose everything. So please make sure you do that if it takes you more than an hour to complete your brag packet. Okay, so your brag packet's complete. You're ready to request letters of recommendation. How do you do that? Go right back to this home screen. Colleges I'm applying to. Don't worry about colleges I'm thinking about. That's more so for junior year when you're at the very beginning of this process. As a senior, you want to focus on colleges I'm applying to. If you add any colleges to this and then change your mind, your counselor can take it off. So don't sweat that. So you go to colleges I'm applying to. Scroll down here first for letters of recommendation. I'm going to show you that first. Click on that. Now, I do want to note, it is polite to ask teachers in person first. Don't just send a request through Naviance. Ask them in person first. That's just good manners. Counselors, you can't find us in Naviance to request letters. So if you want your counselor to write a letter, keep in mind if you're doing Common App, a lot of times we just kind of include those because there is a school report that we need to fill out. That's why we want you to let us know whether you're applying Common App or not. But you're not going to be able to add that request here. So just a side note. Add request, find the teacher that you want to request. Let us know if it's every single college you're applying to, or if it's just maybe a teacher you're applying to their alma mater and you want them to write a very specific letter, you're able to choose which one you want to do. Type a little note, hey, thanks for writing me a letter, and hit submit. And you just requested your letters of recommendation. Go you. We're going to go back to that home screen, back to that colleges I'm applying to rather, and I'm going to show a few things here about adding schools to this list, requesting transcripts. Those are some of the big things. Right up here, first thing I want to point out is Naviance matching with Common App schools. Again, not every school requires Common App. So make sure you know which schools use Common App and which schools don't. Just don't assume you're going to be doing Common App because you might not need to. So you're going to go on over to commonapp.org, create your account, get working on that, and then you're going to match it up to Naviance. This is going to sync with Naviance. That way, we're able to send all the necessary documents to your Common App schools. You're going to go in, put the email address you use to sign up for Common App, date of birth, click on that match accounts, and it will match up. There is something in the Common App website called the FERPA. Again, this is all outlined in our college application handbook. It tells you exactly what you need to do. So make sure you do that first before you try to match your accounts. Otherwise, it might not work. But again, if you're having issues, talk to your counselor. We may be able to help you problem solve with that. Over here, this beautiful red button with the plus sign is how you're going to add schools. Click on that. Type in any school you're interested in going to. Note here, it says application type. So right now, this particular school only offers rolling admission, but this is where you would see early decision or early action as well. Please make sure you're letting us know. That tells us, for example, if you are applying early, we got to hustle. We got to make sure we're getting your materials in a timely fashion, which we would do anyway, but there's a more specific date we need to look at when you're applying early. So make sure you're letting us know in app type how you're applying, whether it's rolling or early. Then you're going to let us know, how are you submitting your application? Super important. This particular school gives you the option. Are you going to apply directly through their admissions website, or are you going to apply through the Common App? You really need to make sure you're picking one of these. Please do not keep it on I'm not sure yet. This is important because it tells your counselors there's a little something extra we need to do when you apply to Common App. There are different school reports that we need to send, and we want to make sure we're doing that for you, but we don't know to do that unless you tell us this is how you're going to do that. So make sure you indicate that there for us. You can certainly request a transcript right away. If you've finished your application, you're ready to go, that's lovely. Hit request transcript. Otherwise, just add application. So now this is going to be the list of schools you're applying to. It's going to show you and us, no thank you, not right now, what type of application it is, what your deadline is, if you've requested a transcript or not, and these little computers right here. This tells your counselor, okay, am I just sending a basic transcript, a schedule, a report card, the basic materials that we send, or did he apply Common App? Do we need to make sure we're sending that school report? Again, this is just another way for you to communicate with us what it is you need from us. So please make sure you're doing that. Don't worry so much about the college you're attending. That's not until the end of the year. But those are the basics in terms of Naviance. That's what you need to do. When you're ready to request a transcript, request transcript. Only worry about initial for now. Mid-year is not until second semester. We can work on that when we get there. Final is not until you've determined exactly which college you're going to. We'll take care of that at the end of the year. Don't worry about the SAT scores. Don't even bother checking that. Again, we do not include it on your transcript. There's no way for us to send those, so don't even worry about that. Click on initial. Let us know where you're going to send this transcript, and done. You just requested a transcript. We know it can be daunting. It's a lot of information, but again, read over that college handbook. Of course, ask us any questions you have. We're going to figure it out. We're going to help you through it. Just a few more things to go over. I promise we're almost done. In regards to financial aid, that's a big question we always get. There's a scholarships and financial aid section over here. Any scholarships we find out about, we post here, right on our website. We'll try to tweet about it as well. But also keep in mind there's scholarship search sites. You got to work it. You got to look for that money. It's out there, but it is kind of a part-time job looking for it. But you got to be in it to win it. So check some of these out in your quote unquote spare time to see what you can apply for. Some of them require essays, some of them don't. So check those out. Try to get yourself some money for college. Last year's financial aid night. We always have financial aid night in the fall. So check out last year's presentation. I don't think a whole lot has changed between last year and this year. So in terms of financial aid anyway, so that's something that you want to check out. This year's financial aid night, we're going to keep right on our main overview page. Right here where we have important announcements. We're going to show you whatever is coming up. So you want to check out all of our information on financial aid night. This year it's going to be virtual. We highly recommend that you check it out. It's going to go over the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. Any student going to school, whether you think you're going to qualify for financial aid or not, it doesn't matter. If you plan on going to school, you do need to fill out the FAFSA. That's at fafsa.ed.gov. Don't go to the imitation websites. That's the one you want to go to, the .ed.gov. It is available to you on October 1st. Keep in mind, if you're filling something out before October 1st, it's not the right thing. It's not open to current seniors until October 1st of your senior year. Each school, each college has its own financial aid deadline that you really need to make sure you're following. So again, when you're making that list, you write down what that financial aid deadline is, because you need to get your information in then if you want to get any money to go to college. The sooner you finish that FAFSA, the better, regardless of deadline. Just something to keep in mind. Obviously, this year is not finished yet, so we can't use this year's taxes because we're still in the fall, but they will use the prior year taxes. So for example, this year's seniors are going to be starting college in the fall of 2021. So you're going to be filling out the FAFSA for the 2021-2022 school year. They're going to go off of your 2019 taxes, just to keep that in mind. And that's all the information you're going to need for the FAFSA. And again, that's going to all be addressed at Financial Aid Night. So either check this out, the virtual event, or of course, like we showed you before, last year's presentation, it's going to tell you everything you need to know. Another section we want to point out, which is fairly new here on our website, is college fairs and open houses. We've been posting things here, whether it's virtual or in person. These are all the schools that we find out specifics. As soon as we get that information, we post it right up here. But there's also various college fairs or various admissions panels of a bunch of schools in one that also look pretty neat to check out. A lot of them are virtual these days, still worth looking into. So check that out at your leisure. So that's pretty much everything we wanted to get out to you guys. We realize this may have brought up some questions, and that's totally fine. Again, we're going to come around to answer your general questions. If it's something more specific to you, feel free to reach out to your counselor separately, and we can address those as needed. But again, check this website on a regular basis. We try to put information out there as soon as we get it, and try to really keep it up to date. It's out there. It's up to you to look for that information. Feel free to follow us on Twitter. Have your parents follow us on Twitter if they're on Twitter. Again, we do not want to follow you. This is just our way of trying to get information out there. So it's a lot. Communicate with your counselor. We're going to get you through it.